Well guys, it's after hours here in Santa Clara, ELV Motors. Checking out a local brand. This is Emazing Bike. It's Artemis, named for Greek gods. All their bikes are, it's like Apollo, Daedalus, Artemis, Selene. And this is kind of like the guy's version, I guess, the high step version of the Selene. And you might have seen that one. It has kind of an opening, a bar thing that it's unique and it lowers the standover height. I think this one's like 29 and that one was significantly lower, like in the 20 range. But a little bit less convenient. This one you can get the battery off easily. You don't have to open the top tube to charge it like that one. Otherwise, it's very similar. And what I like about these bikes is how lightweight they are. They're relatively affordable at the $2,000 price point, especially for a bike that you get at a dealer where you're going to get support. It's got like a 5-year sort of limited warranty, 2 years on the battery and the motor. They're using pretty high quality stuff. Panasonic cells inside of this, about 4.5 pounds, so it's a little lighter than a lot of other battery packs, but it's also smaller. 36 volt, 8.7 amp hours. I would call average 36 volt, 10 amp hours. So it's a little bit lower capacity, but it uses that energy pretty efficiently. 350 watt nominally rated hub motor. It's internally geared, so there's a little bit more noise produced, but it's also more compact. It's lighter weight, and it hides behind this 7-speed cassette and that large 180 millimeter mechanical disc brake on the left-hand side. Love that they've got a slap guard going here and they're routing the cables just cleanly along the frame. Got a quick disconnect for that motor cable, so if you need to do some maintenance on that rear wheel, you can. You've got an alloy bash guard. These come from like BMX days where if you hit a curb or something, it's not gonna chip the chainring teeth up. It also keeps your pants clean because it helps to clear them from the greasy chain. And then they even have this plastic guard, this like chain guard, so the chain won't flop off onto the inside and fall off as easily, and that might also protect it from the top. So good stuff there. 10 magnet cadence sensor in addition to a TMM4 torque sensing device here. That's that silver plate, so it's sensing the strain in the chain as well as whether you're pedaling or not. And this is one of the few bikes out there that can have a throttle, or it can not have a throttle. Okay, so there are two versions of this. We're looking at the Artemis. It's the 73H3H, but there's also the 73H3R, and the R means rental, and I guess they had a rental line, and that's kind of what we're looking at here. You'll notice there's no twist throttle. It's a little bit less. It's like 1900 versus 2000. The Selene that I was reviewing before, it did have a throttle, so I can tell you how that performs. Basically, if you're in level 5 of assist, it's really not assist, it's like throttle mode, but it won't just activate at 0, and it won't even activate if you're moving. You actually have to pedal like one stroke to tell it like, oh, okay, ready to go, and then you can use the throttle. It's not the world's most impressive experience. There's just not a lot of torque to it. But again, you don't have a huge battery pack. So keeping this bike lightweight and efficient, it's more active. I mean, even if you look at the tires and stuff, so these are 700 by 38C, a little bit narrower. They got the hybrid tread. That's what the H stands for in the name. So remember, it was 73, so 7 speeds, 350 watt motors. H, I think that stands for hybrid? Yeah, hybrid tires. And then 36 volt battery. And then H, again, was high tech. So this is their high tech battery. I still think it looks kind of old school. But this company, the last time I looked at it, it was like 2014. So it's been a little while. They kind of stuck with the same tech. It's only distributed in parts of California, Oregon, and Seattle. And for someone who's looking for like a value bike, I think it's priced that way. I don't know. Anyway, you do get a little bit of suspension here. I want to call this like 20 millimeters and then maybe like 50 millimeter seat post, both very basic. It's not a lot of travel. There's no adjustability. In fact, I think if you lift the bike up by the seat a lot, you see how it's a little bit loose right here? It's wiggling. That's like the first time I've done that, but I imagine other people have done it too, and there's just a little bit of play in there. Cheaper parts, right? Aluminum alloy frame, but I love that it comes in 3 colors, so it's like black, blue, and white, and 3 sizes. And we're looking at the large size here, and I measured the seat tube, and it's about 21 inches, so I'm guessing 21, 19, 17, and you end up with a lower standover height and really just a lower saddle position, shorter reach, but there's a lot of adjustability here. You can see there's 3 10mm stacks and 1 5mm, so you can bring that funky stem down a little bit if you want to make it more aggressive. And then there's 0 to 60-degree angles, so you can tilt it. Low-rise bars, ergonomic grips, although they don't have lockers, so if you really twist on these, they're going to twist. They're just not as tough as like a mountain bike would want. And really, why wouldn't you want it to stay where you put them? It's all about cost savings. Tektro mechanical brake levers here. Looks like 4-finger. They're not as smooth, they're not as adjustable as hydraulic disc, but you know, a little bit easier to work with on your own. Those 180mm rotors we were talking about, quick release on the front, which is nice, can reduce the weight of the bike in addition to taking the battery pack off. But you still got that fender, and I do love these fenders. They're paint matched, they're aluminum alloy, and they're tubular. So see how there's like a layer on top and then on the bottom and then like a honeycomb pattern? They're really stiff. They don't rattle a lot when you ride, and the rear fender is connected at multiple points, 3 points. So this is great. One thing I complained about with Celine, because I was on the small frame, is that when I was turning the bike, it felt like my foot was kind of close to that fender, and you don't want to bang it. It's something to keep, just be aware of, because these are the larger diameter wheels. They're more efficient. It's road bike style, and they span cracks, and they carry momentum while still being light and kind of nimble. It's a really great thing. They're not necessarily as comfortable, and they do just, they're bigger, okay? So keep that in mind when you're riding it. Again, nice that it has that upright body position if you want it, and a little bit of suspension, including this larger saddle. It's larger than the one they have on the Celine. Love that there's an aluminum alloy rack. It's got the spring latch thing going on, some pannier blockers, standard gauge tubing so you can hang some panniers off the side or put a trunk bag, maybe with a bottle holster, because you'll notice there's no bottle cage bosses on this one or the Celine. It's just one of those trade-offs. Most of the room is taken up by that battery pack there, but you do get a unique frame lock, which is cool. A YWS. You turn the key like something like this. I think it's just 2 hands. Oh, there we go. I got it. Put that bar through, and now people can't ride the bike away. They could still lift it, but this is 49.2 pounds. Not the lightest electric bike out there, but certainly lighter considering that it has the fenders and the rack. That adds weight for sure. One thing it does not have is integrated lights. It's kind of a bummer, but you can slip your own on, and part of keeping it cheap, there's all these trade-offs to consider. There's just so many choices on the market today. It's easy to kind of scrutinize and nitpick about pricing. You can see the plastic pedals here, very basic. They've got a rubberized surface. For someone who has bigger feet, this is going to be something you want to replace. You can get $20 Well-Goes off of Amazon. Real nice aluminum alloy platform with pins. This, if you slip off, it's not going to scrape your shin up, but you're going to slip more. The ones with the pins, they're going to get good grip, but when you do slip off, you're going to end up like me, missing like hair and having some scars on your shins. So keep that in mind. Those are some differences. 7-speed drivetrain here, Shimano Tourney. That is the base level component group that they offer. Just cheap, it gets the job done. It works okay, but you're going to need to tune it up more frequently, I think. And even just 7 speeds it's okay. You can see there's that super low like mega ring going on, and that's nice for climbing or starting out. It's just, this is entry level, some of the componentry here, but I do feel like the frame is really well made, the fenders, the coloring. There's a really interesting blend here. I'd like it if the bike was a little bit cheaper, but at least you get the reflective tires with the silkworm, puncture protective liner, just the lightweight, nimble ride. It's a cool bike, and I appreciate the variety on the market. So let's get up here, turn this thing on. We hold the mode button for a second. I've had this funky interaction recently when testing this bike where you press mode for a few seconds and it turns on, it turns off again, and you have to do it twice. It didn't happen that time, which I'm thankful for. I'm gonna hold mode and up, activate backlighting. See, that's kind of nice. It starts out in a level 1 assist, and then we can arrow all the way up to level 5. So you get increasing power. Usually level 5 is reserved for twist throttle. We don't have one here, so I'm gonna see how this works when we're riding. Speed, miles per hour, clock, a battery, infographic with only 4 bars that leaves a lot to be desired. 25% increments. Like, what's the difference between almost empty and 25%? You really can't tell. And I noticed that when you're surging, when you're really working the bike, it's more of a voltmeter, so it kind of drops, and then you stop and it jumps back up. the old school tech right here. Odometer, if we press the mode button, it goes to trip meter and then back to odometer. So you get some decent readouts. If you hold the down arrow, it activates walk mode. But see how it like kicked up to speed? You know, when you're riding, it zips up to speed and then it kind of drops down. There it goes again. See, it's sort of surging, which is interesting. And then if you hold the up and down arrows at the same time, you can enter into the settings menu. So you can adjust the clock. You can set the max speed here. 20 miles per hour is as fast as it'll go. And then you can change from miles to kilometers and adjust the wheel diameter. 28 inches, that's 700C. So we are good. I'm going to hold the mode button again. And let's take a ride. Let's just get out there. Okay, I'm going to start out in level 5 assist and just see what happens. There we go. So I apologize. Hopefully the bike that you're testing or buying has that's not an issue with this model. It's just an issue with this bike because I think it was at a demo event. In fact, I see a little tag there that says Expo 2017. So yeah, this was a demo bike. It must have gotten kicked over. But listen for the fenders. I'm gonna go over this pothole. You hear them a little bit, but it's really not too bad. Oh, you know what? Oh, I found the culprit. So you can see that the fender stay is rubbing on the tire. That needs to be adjusted, but unfortunately I don't have tools with me and it's getting dark, so let's power through. There we go, we're up to 20. And the motor's actually helping me a little bit beyond 20, which is interesting. And then I noticed when I was pedaling, I lost one of those battery bars. There we go. So that's what I was talking about before. You know, when you're really using the motor, the battery voltage drops a little bit and it sends a bit of misinformation up to that basic display. But at least you can tell how fast you're going. I'm just gonna give you a shot of my body position again. Beautiful. So this time when I ride, I'm gonna pedal softly. And you'll notice that because it's a multi-sensor torque and cadence, I'm not gonna get a lot of power out of it. It's definitely giving me some power, but just not a lot. But now when I push harder, it's great. I think they did a good job with their pedal assist sensor. I really appreciate how smooth it is. It's predictable, and it encourages me to work a little bit and kind of, you know, like I said, it's an active ride. And even though some of the parts are a little bit more basic, I actually really like these bikes. It feels more like a bicycle than some of the other electric bikes where you're kind of along for the ride. This one responds to you really well, and I hope that the company keeps producing like this because, yeah, I mean, with a little bit of refinement, maybe a stronger motor or something, this bike, it's really a joy to ride. So I think that's about it. That's the Artemis 73h3h electric bike. For the full specs on this, including standover height, reach, all the other measurements that I do, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. Of course, have fun out there, ride safe. I'll see you next time. So we're inside the shop, and you can see the Celine over here. It's got that unique, much lower step design. Same battery pack though, and I just wanted to show you the charger up close. It's 2 amp, not especially fast. It does have a metal end point here, which is really nice. It's gonna be a little bit more durable. The pack weighs about 1.5 pounds. And the thing is, you can plug this in right here on the battery mount. And this down tube kind of gets a little fatter at the base. It's kind of a square. That's because the controller is built right into the frame. So it allows this to be a little bit smaller, but considering that it's 36 volt, 8.8 amps, amp hours, I should say, it's not that small. And unfortunately, when you actually take this battery off, when you unlock it and you take it off, it leaves the base, right? So that won't work. You have to have a dongle, this thing right here, that plugs into the base of that tubular battery. So it's kind of a bummer because this can get misplaced. There's no leash to keep it with the charger. You just have to make sure you don't set it down and misplace it. And yeah, it's not my favorite design. You know, I'd prefer to just have one charging port. This is an issue that, you know, Easy Motion has with some of their bikes, and I've even seen it with some of the higher end bikes too. It's just, you know, you prefer to have one. Shimano is what I'm thinking. It's nice to just have one charging interface, one hopefully fast charger, and a battery that's tucked in. So it's okay when you get a design like this. You just expect it to be a little bit more affordable because it doesn't look as nice. But one upside is that it's easy to get to the battery here. You just take it off, take it with you inside. You cannot remove the display, so that could still get scratched up or tampered with at a bike rack, but you know, it's those trade-offs.